Good morning, everybody. I am going to show you how I made my Hammer of Bones book trailer today. Thank you for your patience while I put this together. It was a little bit hard finding some time to set everything up. But the first thing I typically go is I go to depositphotos.com and I will go into their videos section and I'll search for something that I'm looking for. So for the Hammer of Bones, it's very Viking oriented. I want something that has some snow and ice and maybe a Viking-ish connotation. Well, when I searched for it, I searched for snowy mountains. And a bunch of videos came up, right? And you can hover over it and, well, typically you can hover over it and Deposit Photos will show you a little video. They'll show you the video of what it is that you searched for. And it's really useful. I really enjoy it. There are some really cool videos on here, and you can see down in my favorites bar down here at the bottom. I have quite a few that I've gone through and looked at and enjoyed. Whoops, I don't know why it didn't do that. And one of my all-time favorites, you know, some of these fantasy videos are just phenomenally well done. There's one with crows, there's one with a fantasy castle, there are ones with clouds, just beautiful. One of the things that I want to look for is something that loops. So if I need more time on it, I can get more time on it. Now, sometimes it takes a while to look through stuff. Sometimes I'll spend 5 or 6 hours just looking through what they have before I purchase. The videos aren't cheap. They're like $65 a pop. So that's why I spend so long looking and why I don't ever buy anything just right away. Because even if I find something that I love, it may not work for what I need. You understand? Like, it just may not quite be right. Like, this is gorgeous, this one right here that I'm hovering over. It's beautiful, but it's not quite the right feel for me, and it doesn't loop properly. So if I tried to set it up for a loop, you could tell that there's a break where the video ends and where it begins, whereas the one that I ended up purchasing doesn't do that. The one that I ended up purchasing, which I shall open for you, it has a more, well, I guess you'll see the whole thing, sorry about that, but it has a more consistent snowfall look, so it doesn't loop the same way, that it doesn't look like it stops and goes. It has a consistent loop. So you can see here I ended up having to lengthen the video so that I could make everything kind of work together and so I could get all of the text in. Even with lengthening the video, I've gotten feedback that it moves too fast, so on my next one I'll probably slow it down. But as you can see down here, this is where everything goes. This is where everything that you need to put together for your video ends up. So to begin this, you go up to Import and Import Media Files, and you go to wherever you stored your video, right? And you hit Open, and it'll drop it in this little box here, and then you just pick it up, click it, and drag it down to where you want. For the black screen, I ended up doing a 1080 by, oh, I can never remember the resolution, but the resolution for a YouTube video. I made one in Photoshop that was just a black blank screen because it's really, I haven't figured out yet how to just have it be a black screen. So I just made one and set it in, and if you zoom in, you can see that it lasts for, you know, a pretty decent duration, about 4 seconds. And then of course I have the fade, so to put a fade in, you go up to Transitions, and this Wondershare Filmora has been really nice. It's not super expensive. I think when I bought it, it was $45 just for like the basic package. I've really enjoyed it. And it comes with all of these different screen transitions. Like there's a cube screen transition, there's a cross split, there's all of these really cool ones. And the nice thing is it comes with a really nice fade transition, which you can see here when we play this. It fades this in and it fades out the black. Now it will keep the image down here, the symbol, because it's on a different layer. It'll keep that in without fading it, which is really nice. So if you watch it, it fades in on its own because the symbol itself has a fade on it, but it's separate from this fade up here. So if we click on that, we can see all of the different ways to add different transitions. So all you have to do is double click on the layer that you're going to work on. If it's an image, it'll bring up this box and you can look at all the different transitions that you can do. And then you can go to advanced and suddenly you've got all of these different transparency mask transitions, which I haven't worked with personally. You also have effects, which I also have not worked with personally. And then we go, okay. So as it scrolls through, you'll also notice that there's some text over the video. That's this. And what I did here was I went to the text credit section here, and I clicked on text credit, and I chose a format that I liked. Now, there are different formats. There's this really pretty one for like romance novels. It has flower petals just flying through the screen. It's really, really pretty. And that would be really good for like an opening image for a book title. You have more down here, one with tons of rose petals. So it depends on how romantic you want it to be. You know, do you want all the romance or do you want just a little bit of romance? You never know. Well, most of my books are not romance. Most of them deal with horror with a touch of fantasy. So I tend to go for something a little bit more natural and a little bit firmer looking. And I can't remember which one I chose exactly, but I picked it. I picked one of them. And if you click this, you can edit the text box and you can edit the way that it looks. You can edit the style and the animation, like how the text appears. This one right here, this evaporate one, is my absolute favorite. I love this, and it works so well with the blue text that comes up. Like if we go here, where is it? Sorry guys. I just want to make sure that I can show you some of the really cool little things that this offers. So here we go. So this blue text here disappeared. When it comes in and it exits with that sort of like icy fade, icy come in type look. Didn't go back far enough. Okay. So if we look at it, see how it's coming in there? That's this one. That's this little evaporate dooley bob. It's really cool. I love it. But you can also go to an advanced text bracket box thing. It pops up and you have a whole bunch of stuff you can do. This is the text that you input. This is the type of text for the fill, and you can change the color, you can change the effect and how it looks. You can make it look three-dimensional. I typically wouldn't do that unless it's like really big text, because otherwise it kind of just looks funny and is hard to read. But you can change the opacity, you can make it blurry on the outside, you can add a border, you can add a shadow, you can do a whole bunch of stuff. Like, oh, if I scroll through, you can even see like what's going on here. But I digress. You can go to customize, maybe. Oh, that is customize. Okay, presets are the different text styles and colors that you can use. They have some really cool ones, and you can always go into it, right, and then go into customize, and you see how it says gradient fill? Well, we can choose a different gradient pattern to do. We can make it look pink, we can make it look blue, we can make it look all kinds of really just cool things. You can change the text font up here. You can change the size, bold, all of this. Just go in and mess around and have fun with it. Next is the animation, which I sort of mentioned earlier. You know, this is my favorite one here, but for these, I did just a natural fade. It's just easier sometimes to have it just fade in. Last, we have down here. This section is really cool. This helps you time the text, and you can do different layers with your text. So the top layer is just Melisandre's father, and then the bottom layer is disappeared. These darker areas are the different text animations that you have coming in. Like you have the fade in for Melisandre's father. Well, I can make this either really short or I can make it really long, and you have to double click the bracket or it will actually just pick up the whole thing and drag it. So you have to click the double bracket, double click the bracket, maybe. Come on, there we go. And it'll, it'll let you mess with how long and how short you want the fade in to be. And then for the next one, of course, it's the same thing, double click the bracket. I think that's the only thing that frustrates me with this is that you can't always grab it. Sometimes you have to undo. But you can adjust it and just play around with the timing until it looks right. And then you have your wonderful text, your wonderful blinding text. And there you go. So a lot of this is just going through and playing around with the different ideas and the different methods of doing things. Now, some people have asked me where I got the symbol for my Vienheim series, this little Viking symbol here. And honestly, I got it here. I got it at Deposit Photos. And instead of going to the videos, I go to the Photos section, or All Images, because it's a vector. And I just typed in Viking symbols. And for Vienheim, it was just a matter of going through and finding something that I really liked. And eventually, I mean, they have some really cool stuff here. And their photos are not too expensive. They're not, they're not cheap, but they're not super duper expensive, which is really, really nice. And most of them are really high quality. I always double check before I use any of the photos, like for covers or for any graphic work. I'll play with it first. Like I'll click on it, I'll expand it, and it has the watermark and everything on it, but I'll copy and paste it and put it in Photoshop and kind of mess around with it before I actually go out and purchase it, just because I want to make sure everything looks right. Maybe someday I'll do a cover a cover image tutorial. But anyway, this is where I come for all of my photos. Now, you'll also notice that I had some sound effects, and I don't think you can hear them here, but if you go to the actual video, you'll be able to just hit play and it sounds like a snowstorm. I didn't want music for this. I wanted it to feel kind of eerie and quiet and sound like you were very, very alone. And the sound of a snowstorm coupled with the actual image of snow falling in a very desolate area kind of gives it that eerie sense. And because this is a vampire Viking book, I really wanted to play off of that. I really, really did. I thought it would be just really cool. And so I went to this neat place that I am in love with. I buy all of my music here, Audio Jungle. If you come here and you can look for anything, they have everything. They have ambient noise, which is where I went for the snowfall sounds. So they have, electronic down-tempo pack. I don't know what that is, but they have all kinds of stuff, and it's not typically that expensive. A normal license, which is this amount here, will get you a song for 52 YouTube videos. You can use it up to 52 times, or you can use it once on a commercialized video, I think. It might be worth rereading that. But I come here for all of my music for anything that I do. I've bought quite a few different songs. I bought music for my Enyor opening on YouTube, which I haven't had a chance to use, and for my Mooley Chronicles opening on YouTube, which I haven't had a chance to use as much as I'd like to. Finally, we have our fade out at the end here. Fades out, and I timed it so that this would land on a black screen to kind of impact that last moment of she must save them. Then we come into the image at the very end, and it shows you the book, and it shows you part of her cover, and we have the adventure of the lifetime is here. And initially on YouTube I was planning on making it a live link, but at the time I didn't have access to that. I'm hoping that I can actually go back in and change that. So anyway, that's how I made this. It was very simple. It took me quite a few hours, I'm not gonna lie. I think that this one took me, other than looking for all of the images and videos and putting everything together, just getting the video itself together took me probably about 8 hours, because I was finagling and messing around with everything, moving things around, trying to decide where I wanted things to go, and trying to determine, do I want this to come in like this? Is this going to be light enough for people to be able to read the font? That sort of stuff. And I think I sent it to my best friend slash beta reactor. She doesn't really read my work, but she does like give me feedback on a lot of the art stuff. I think I sent it to her like 6 times before she was like, "All right, it looks good." And she was like, "The text is still too fast, but it's not bad." And at that point, I was just burnt out, and I just wanted to be done. So anyway, I hope that you enjoyed this, and I'm hoping that I was able to help you out. Thank you very much for listening.